Everyone says that Chinese is the hardest language in the world. And honestly, what if that's not the case? What if it's not as hard as people say? And honestly, I've got another video coming out later this week that's going to be treating that question of what language is the hardest, so stay tuned. But basically, I would say, hey, when you learn Chinese, you get a lot of difficulty that's basically front loaded. And I would encourage you to maybe not front load all that difficulty. Maybe there's like another way uh, to kind of to cut this tree down. Another way to get to the other side of this chasm that is learning this language. Right? It's a chasm. You can't see the other side. It's how I like to liken language learning too. It's you're standing on one cliff face. You're looking out across a chasm. There's this rope bridge that extends out. You can't see the other side because there's mist. It's too far. You don't know what it's like to get over the other side, but obviously once you get there, it's easier to come back, right? So you don't know that that rope bridge is even going all the way to the other side. Maybe it only gets you partway there, and there's something else, some sort of other obstacle you have to contend with. You don't know until you've crossed to the other side, right? But any experience that you've had, whether you've learned any of the language in question before, be it Chinese or something else, is going to help you to learn that language to fluency again if you were to decide that to learn it to fluency if you were deciding that you want to start learning it again. All right, so any experience that you have previously with any language or the language that you were learning in question is going to help you to learn any future language that you decide to learn. But for the case that we're talking about today, Chinese not actually being that hard. When you first start learning that language, you've got to deal with the sound symbol relationship of the different letters. You've got to deal with the tones. You've got to deal with the Chinese characters, right? You've got to deal with the grammar, which honestly the grammar isn't that hard in a sense because it's also an SVO language, right? SVO. Subject, verb, object, just like English. I eat apples. It's not I apples eat or eat apples I or something else, right? So it's the same general order most of the time. And like English, you don't really have to deal with tenses now, do you? You don't have to say, like in Spanish, if you want to talk about eating, the verb for to eat is comer. And so you have to say, for every single pronoun, you have to change the conjugation, so the end of the word. So I como, you comes, he come, he, she, it come, or formal you come, we da 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 da. It changes, right? So you get the point because it's not just in pronouns. It's also like, are we talking about the past tense? Are we talking about the future? Are we talking about something else? Entirely like, are you trying to say like, I will eat, I ate, I had eaten? You have to do different pronoun conjugations for every single like different ones of those. So I como, yo comeré, I comeré, I will eat, yo comí, I ate. All right, so and then there's more beyond that, and then that's indicative. So you've got subjunctive also. So there's like a whole bunch of layers just when dealing with verbs. And in English and Chinese, we don't have to deal with either of those. And Chinese is a highly analytic language, and so we actually instead like you don't need to say I ate. You just say like yesterday I did this, or 2 days ago I did this. I eat. Yesterday I eat. 2 days ago I eat dumplings, like that. And or same for the future. And if you want to add nuance, like I might eat, then you just add might in, like in English, in that sense. So that's something that's very nice that you get with Chinese. The grammar, in a sense, is not that difficult. And people like to make a fuss about the tones. Honestly, there's only 4. You could have more. There's 4, and then there's the neutral tone. But honestly, at the very beginning of the language, I'd worry more about the sound symbol relationship than I would about the tones. I wouldn't stress over the tones. I'd worry about the sound symbol relationship, and then am I getting to fluency, right? I want to get to fluency and talking about interesting things as quickly as I can. Even if I can't write about those things or read about them, I want to be able to talk about them. I want to have interesting conversations as quickly as I can. And obviously I do want to get to a place where I can read and write as quickly as I can. But when you've got something like characters, that's just front loading complexity when I would say, hey, How about instead of doing that, if you find that that's too much to take on, and in a sense, I can understand how it can be because I know that there are some universities out there that say, hey, you know what? For like the first year, and they may even say like the first two, uh, we're just going to use like pinyin, right? We're just going to use the Latin alphabet basically with tone symbols. You just worry about that. Worry about getting used to the grammar, becoming basically a fluent speaker, and then after you've gone through this phase of getting to where you're speaking fluently, then we'll come back and we'll worry about characters. You can learn those later. We'll do that. We can do that systematically. So that's what I would say. Hey, if you find that Chinese is like really intimidating and the characters are a big problem for you, leave that for later. Don't front load that complexity. Don't worry. Don't stress too much about the tones. Do what you can. The characters you can come back to, and you could learn just the pinyin at first and come back in 6 months, for example, in a year, and then do the characters. Yes, you won't have a lot of context. I mean, you won't have a lot of content that you can go and read, obviously, because a lot of times when you just have pinyin or you have pinyin ruby, it's meant for lower level learners. But you can find content that is interesting with Chinese characters and then the pinyin ruby. You can also go to like Wikipedia and you can copy. You can go and you can be like, hey, just pick something that you're interested in. I don't know, if you want to go read about countries, France, for example, because you're interested in France also. Then just go to the Chinese Wikipedia page in English on France, and then go and hit the languages button and choose Chinese. Then go copy it, and there are tools online where you can just get that converted to pinyin, like the whole article. And so then you can go and start reading it. And you will be able to pick up on stuff that you've been learning in your class or on your own along the way. So that's a way that you can get a pretty immediate return on investment. So if you like go learn 是 and 国家, a couple of other characters, you'll be able to start at least picking up some new vocabulary and being able to see some familiar faces effectively along the way. Even if you can't understand the vast majority of what that means because maybe you're just starting, right? So this is just a way that you can get into content that's actually interesting to you. It doesn't have to be like France. It could be about French cuisine, or it could be about a French philosopher or some work that you really like, So make it interesting to you. Follow your interest. Make it interesting to you, and then try and find ways for you to actually like use that content. Write about it. Speak with people online about it. If you're uncomfortable speaking at this stage, I would encourage you to try to get to a place where you're comfortable speaking, even if it's just with yourself. You could also like write like text. I mean, like you could text people, or you could do posts on platforms like social media platforms, like Chinese ones, or something like italki, or Hello Talk. You can post something about like some book that you really like. You went and read about it in French, or in French. You went and read about this French philosopher in Chinese, and you want to try and post about it. And some people may come and respond, comment, etc., or correct you. So there are different ways that you can approach this that lets you get to using the language without having to front load all that complexity all at once. And like I said, so you can get to a place of fluency. Focus on learning the language, getting to a place of fluency, and working on that sound-symbol relationship. Do your best with tones. Don't stress over them too much. It's a learning process, right? So find your interest, follow your interest. Language learning is not really about the destination, or we get a lot really focused on the destination, I say, and forget the journey. And you can enjoy that along the way. So make it interesting for you, and do remember, if you're finding that you're averse to that notion of not learning characters at the beginning, I do want to remind you that Chinese characters, they're not something that Chinese kids start right out of the womb learning, right? They get to a place of fluency first, and then they learn the Chinese characters later. I'm just saying. So try and make it so that you can stick with it and get to a place where you feel comfortable, like you're achieving your goal, you're getting there. And like I said, enjoy the process. Enjoy the journey. Make it interesting to you. All right. So, y'all, what's been the hardest part for you in your language learning journey when it comes to Chinese? Let me know. I speak Mandarin. I speak Cantonese. I've learned some Taiwanese, like Southern Min. So, Minanyu. Feel free to let me know. If you've learned any of those, I would love to hear about it. I need to return to Southern Min, Taiwanese in the future. It's something I got planned, but it's not where I'm at right now. It's not what I'm working on right now. So let me know. Let me hear about it. And until next time, y'all take care now. Bye bye.